Howdy, Dr. Will Wong here, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Essentials of Life and Wellness. You may remember that on a prior show, I talked about the Japanese having chronic neck and shoulder pain because their heads were so big and so heavy and their frames were so small. Well, it isn't just the Japanese that have neck pain like that. If you've got neck pain, if it radiates down into your shoulders, if you tend to have a fairly big head, and most heads weigh between 14 to 30 pounds, then you might think about adding some muscle to your neck the way that I described. I described exercises to work the neck from the front and exercises to work the neck from the back, and I advised everyone to put at least an inch on their necks, an inch to an inch and a half for the gals, 2 inches or more for the guys, and let's read about someone who did that program. Dr. Wong, I'm emailing you to say thank you. In less than 2 months on your protocol for neck and shoulder pain, it has worked like a charm. In 8 weeks, I've put an inch and a half on my neck, and all my neck pain has disappeared. And to think, all I had to do was weight train, something I've tried to do since I was 16, now that I'm 61. I have a question. Is lateral flexion, that side bending of the neck, is lateral flexion against resistance indicated as well? And what other exercise can I substitute for the seated rows since my lat machine does not have a floor pulley? And my answer is howdy. As a substitute for the seated rows, you can just do bent over rowing, but that places a really bad shearing force on the sacroiliac joint and its ligaments. Also, it places a really bad pressure on the anterior side of the L5, S1, and L4, L5 lumbar discs. When you compress them from the front, you're looking to shoot the jelly, the nucleus pulposa, out the back. That'll create a herniated disc. The alternative that you can do is a bent over dumbbell row while having one knee and one hand of the non-working side leaning on a bench. You will need some pretty heavy dumbbells to match what you can do in the seated rowing, but it is a viable alternative for the back exercise. Also, you can use giant rubber bands like the ones that the Wad Fitters and the Draper Company have. They're for sale on Amazon. If you can find a central point like a lolly post to wrap the center of the band around, and then you can put your feet against the lolly post or against the stanchion, against the pillar, and pull the ends of the bands toward you as you would do in the seated rowing exercise. I've got several different resistance bands wrapped around my early model Bowflex, and I use all the bows plus the resistance bands to get the amount of resistance that I need to do the exercises. I would not recommend doing lateral flexion strength exercises for the neck. In the early days of Nautilus, they had something called the 4-way neck machine, and the lateral flexion movements always caused a lot of cervical herniated discs, as did their rotary neck machine. The same muscles that flex and extend also laterally bend and rotate. So you work all those areas if you just do the front flexion and the back extension. Be well and God bless, Dr. Wong. Now, the exercises that I initially recommended folks to do is to lie face up on a bench, or you can even do it on a bed. Bend your knees, put your feet on the deck. That takes a strain off your lower back. Take a small towel, like a hand towel, a face towel, fold it up, put it on your forehead, and then take a barbell plate, as heavy as you need to get at least 7 to 10 repetitions in. Put the little towel on your forehead, put the barbell plate on your forehead, then bring your chin into your chest, and then let your head go back to the bed or the bench. Do that 7 to 10 times for 3 sets. If you can get to 10 reps and it's easy, add more weight, go back to 7, work your way back up to 10 again. Then flip over. Bring your head and neck off the edge of the bench. This time, put the plate and the pad on the back of your head. Look down towards the floor, then look up towards the ceiling. 7 to 10 times, 3 sets, and do this 2 to 3 times a week. Now, one other advantage in doing these cervical exercises is that you will hold your chiropractic adjustments better. Instead of going out just a few hours after you've been adjusted, or the next day, or in a couple of days, you could probably hold your adjustment for at least a week. It'd probably cost my chiropractor my office visits, but I was getting adjusted every single week at the neck because it was going out and I was getting all the crunching, lack of range of motion, and just plain feeling bad when my neck went out. Just a few weeks after I started strengthening my neck, and after I got it really strong, I needed an adjustment only once a month. I've gone as long as 3 months without getting a cervical adjustment, and that for me is a feat. All because I added muscle and the muscle supported the bones. The arrangement of the head on the cervicals is like having 7 fine crystal champagne goblets, one inside the other, stem inside goblet, and then you put a 30-pound watermelon on top of the whole dang thing. Unless you support that bony arrangement, the bones are really too small, too frail, and too brittle to hold up the weight of the head. Things are going to go wrong. Nerves are going to get pinched. Discs are going to get flattened. You're going to develop arthritis at the neck. And just about anyone over the age of 27 who gets a cervical x-ray, a neck x-ray, will find arthritis in. Why is that? Because of misuse of the neck, because of the weight of the head bearing down on the neck, because of all sorts of stuff, but usually because the neck isn't strong enough to hold up the weight of the head, and the bones are suffering because of it. Don't let that happen to you. And the next question, Dr. Wong, hi, I was looking to see if you were making your vitamin E again, but it looks like you haven't. That said, do you have any recommendations for an e-product other than derived from non-GMO sunflower oil? Other things I should be looking for? Thanks. And my answer is howdy. We've been having trouble getting pharmaceutical-grade dry vitamin E, and the one batch we did blend would not allow itself to be put into capsules without severely caking the machinery. Still got barrels of the blended stuff in my cold storage. Just thought of putting it in jars and having folks take a half a teaspoon daily. But we'll see if I ever get to that. No need to get any GMO grains when getting vitamin E. Most of the synthetic, artificial, most of the synthetic vitamin E is not cooked up in a test tube, but fermented in fungus like most B vitamins, especially the coenzyme Bs that are really the rage now because they're really great, and like most vitamin C. Even the non-fruit and non-animal enzymes are fermented in a vat just like beer. The last time I checked with God, fermentation was not an artificial process. It was a natural process. So number one, don't listen to folks who rail against synthetic vitamins. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're feeding you sales hype. The food-based vitamins do not actually absorb better or physiologically act better than the synthetic ones. That, again, is a philosophy and sales hype, but it is not science. They simply cost a hell of a lot more, and with food-sourced vitamins, you get a hell of a lot less. Dosages with those are extremely low. Now, it has to be said that no natural or alternative doc would ever IV inject any food-based nutrient, be it vitamin C, vitamin E, the B vitamins, magnesium, or any other nutrient from food, because number one, it's too low in potency to make a physiological difference. Number two, it's not pure enough to inject without causing a coma and death. Think about that for a second. Most of the dry vitamin E available, it comes from fermentation and is estrogen-free. Of the oil-based vitamin E's, the highest potency with no estrogen are from the 4-Spectrum Company and the AC Grace Company. Both of those are in the same town in Texas. As a matter of fact, they're across the street from each other. Also, the tocotrienols and the mixed tocopherols are not as necessary as just plain D-alpha tocopherol. All of the great studies done on the vitamin E in the 60s and 70s, especially those studies of Dr. Tom Curitin from the University of Southern Illinois, were done with just plain old D-alpha tocopherol, and no studies on the tocotrienols and the tocopherols have been as extensive or as well done as those old D-alpha tocopherol studies. Now, if this sounds different than everything you've been taught and read on the internet, remember that from me, you get no sales hype, no industry BS, no old wives' tales from the natural health understanding of the body of 100 years ago, which does not take into regard a really true understanding of human physiology, and no wives' tales from the super purists and from the deep-end crazies who populate this industry at present. Be well and God bless, Dr. Wong. As you can tell, I don't like those super purists. They're not nice people. Like all fanatics, they think they have the right to be as nasty, as mean, and as whatever is possible because their cause is right. Sounds like Antifa, doesn't it? Well, the super purists in the health food industry are not quite as bad as those folks, but they're as loud and they can be as nasty, especially on the internet where they can say just about anything they want to say and not get their noses punched in. Following question. Hello, Dr. Wong. I am a recovering alcoholic and was wondering if your systemic enzymes might be of benefit to me and my liver, or might there be anything else you could recommend to aid with my healing? I heard you in an interview some time ago on Mike Muller's podcast and was wondering if you have any type of forum to follow. Thank you greatly. And my answer is howdy. Systemic enzymes have been shown to reduce both the scar tissue and fatty deposits in liver, as well as reduce the inflammation in the organ. The best liver support in the world is Liver Chi from Dr. Chi at www.chi-health.com. Next, B vitamins run the liver and help create energy. The liver is epithelial tissue, and to support it, you need a good supply of the mineral building block for epithelial tissue, which is zinc. So here are my suggestions for you. Zyme Essence, 1 or 2 capsules taken in between meals 3 times a day. Zinc citrate, 100 milligrams a day. If you use our brand of zinc citrate, that's 1 capsule daily. Liver Chi, 2 or 3 capsules 3 times a day. B-complex vitamins, 1 capsule twice a day. Again, you can get Dr. Chi's supplements from www.chi-health.com. You can get our supplements from www.drwongsessentials.com. Essentials is plural. drwongsessentials.com. The liver is the body's most regenerative organ. If fed right and not abused, in 7 years, you can regrow what amounts to a new organ. Hope these ideas help. Be well and God bless, Dr. Wong. You know, this reminds me of talking about growing new organs. We had a restaurateur that I was taking care of. The fellow was from Iowa and was one of the stone-cold, dumbest men I have ever met. He was yelling at the respiratory therapist who was working with us, yelling at her. Now, mind you, let me preface this. He had already had 1 lung taken out. 1 lung and a half of the other one taken out. So he had half of 1 lung. We need to understand this. And he's yelling at the respiratory therapist saying, well, what kind of cigarettes can I smoke? The RT was getting very, very, very upset with this idiot. So I stepped in, asked her to step aside, and I looked at the asshole and I said, look, every 7 years, you can regrow just about any organ in your body. Every 7 years. You know the problem for you is? You haven't got 7 years. And I turned away, and the asshole was in shock, looking at me. How dare I talk to him like that? He's dead. Extremely dead. Cold. Buried. Turned to dust already. Because he was such an asshole. What kind of idiot has 1.5 lungs taken out because of cancer and still frickin' wants to smoke? I'll calm myself down, I'll compose myself, and I'll read the next question. Dear Dr. Wong, I have crippling rheumatoid arthritis. I've had it for 27 years, and what triggered it was the birth of my first baby. I'm not taking any medication, but I'm still fighting the chronic inflammation in my joints and the deformities in my hands and feet. I've just changed my diet completely in order to heal my gut. I just recently watched a few of Dr. Wing's videos, curious about what he recommends, and taking his essential nutrients. Now, I suppose that Dr. Wing, she's talking about is me, Dr. Wong, but here. My answer is howdy. My suggestions are these. Zyme Essence, 2 capsules taken in between meals 3 times a day. Then, try the Prolozone therapy injections in your worst joints. If it helps, do all the joints. The list of doctors who do the therapy is here, and I sent her to www.oxygenhealingtherapies.com. That's oxygenhealingtherapies, plural.com. Be well and God bless, Dr. Wong. Now, why did I not recommend something like Geravital GH3 when we know that if you take a ton of the stuff for long enough, it will actually begin to right the fingers? It'll actually begin to undo the deformities from the rheumatoid arthritis. Well, the Prolozone is a combination of Dr. Anna Aslan's injection of procaine into the joints, which works a heck of a lot faster than taking the GH3 pills, and ozone therapy, which helps to regenerate the hyaline cartilage. They knew that back in the 1950s, that injected ozone renews the hyaline cartilage. So, Prolozone, developed by Dr. Frank Schellenberger, who's an alternative MD out of Phoenix, combined the ozone therapy with Dr. Anna Aslan's procaine injection therapy and works like an absolute charm on any kind of a joint condition. Give it a go. Next question. Dear Dr. Wong, what is the best way to increase blood flow to the brain? And then the fellow goes on to name a variety of extremely expensive supplements, which are classified as medications in Europe, but they're supplements here, that are used to brain boost. And my answer probably was not to his liking because he did not answer me back. But my answer is, howdy. Honestly, the best answer to increase blood flow to the brain is strong coffee. The Hawaiian Men's Health Survey, a study started in 1973 with some 30,000 men that is still ongoing, found that the non-coffee drinkers all got dementia and Alzheimer's in their 60s, while of the coffee drinkers, they hardly got any dementia, and if for the very few that got dementia or Alzheimer's, they got it a full 10 years later in their 70s. It must be said that Hawaiian coffee is almost like espresso, and they drink it by the large mug there. Having tried all of the brain circulation boosting supplements from ginkgo to the vinpocetine, I was disappointed in them all. Although the drugs salicyline and bromocriptine do work very, very, very well at brain boosting. There's a book by Dr. Ward Dean on brain boosting, and I recommend that you read it and follow his advice. Be well and God bless, Dr. Wong. Now, I'm only going to read you parts of this next letter because it is a very long one, but in regards to fish, I have heard that cooking salmon and tuna may destroy the good omega-3 in them, so is it better to eat them raw? On the other hand, most of the fish we have on the market are full of mercury unless I find wild fish. What do you think? My husband is Armenian, and I'm half Italian and American. We both love the red meat and chicken. Recently, I started to ditch red meat because of many healthy nutrition advocates encourage people to find grass-fed cow meat because ones that are on the market are corn-fed cow meat. Even if we cook the commercial corn-fed cow meat, is this true? Can we destabilize and degrade the sterols? But they remain GMO products because most all corn products in the USA are GMO. My husband used to eat meat, a lot of it, with doing regular exercise, and he had no related health conditions and still has high estrogen levels. I'm not sure what is right and what is wrong here. In regards to milk and dairy products, milk comes from pregnant cows during their pregnancy, during which estrogen levels are high and excrete into the milk, even with different methods of pasteurization. You cannot destroy that high estrogen level in milk. It is widely understood that heat kills harmful bacteria in milk, but not the estrogen. Plus, the human digestive system after 5 years of age is not programmed to digest milk, and that's what many people have lactose intolerance issues. I'm not sure why this is, but many nutritionists advise to get milk from grass-fed cow farmers and get raw, non-homogenized, non-pasteurized milk. Any recommendations about that? And here are my answers. Howdy. Fish are so chock full of parasites that eating any raw fish is asking for trouble. Get your omegas, which are super overrated because of industry hype, along with the super overrated CoQ10, from the supplement Core Omega, which is a great fish-based omega supplement. It tastes like pudding. Also, get your vitamin E at 3,000 international units instead of taking the CoQ10. Your husband's estrogen levels are not coming from his meat eating, they're coming from him. Men after 40 make more estrogen than their wives do, with the younger generation starting at 30 to 31. One MD I know had to go on estrogen control and testosterone replacement at 36. Good grass-fed beef and buffalo are available online. We used to get ours from someplace in Kansas, but Texas and other states now have grass-fed beef available. And I stand by my statement that mammalian hormones degrade at 105 to 135 degrees. So, only avoid rare meat or tartar meat. And I completely dispute the finding that mammalian hormones survive pasteurization. That's absolutely ridiculous and physiologically impossible. I question the studies and I question the intent of the studies. Remember that every year, 2,000 peer-reviewed studies are retracted from the medical, nutritional, and other professional journals due to falsification. One MD, who was the 20-year editor of the British Journal of Medicine, says that most of the work being published today is falsified. We need to remember that in the health food industry, the natural health world, various forms of vegetarians who are always at war with each other hold their diet to be their religion and will have done anything, including outright lying and falsification of data, to promote their religion. The fake data bestseller, The China Diet, is a fantastic example of completely made-up bullshit. In my view, vegetarians are freaking zealot fanatics who need to find their own solar system to be completely locked away into. As to what the doctors have told you about the estrogen from cows, I will make the blanket statement from another MD that I know: docs don't know shit about hormones. He said that I got 20 minutes in class on androgens, and they did not distinguish between testosterone and DHT. We got 30 minutes on estrogen, and they didn't distinguish between estradiol, estrone, and estriol, and just a whisper of a mention on progesterone without defining the difference between progestine, P1, and progesterone, P2. Personally, I've been OBGYNs who have no idea what the hormones are doing during pregnancy. I bring this up due to your statement that estrogens are high during pregnancy. That is impossible. Estrogen causes miscarriage. From the first 2 to 4 weeks of pregnancy, when progesterone making switches from the ovaries to the placenta to mid-third trimester, estrogen is almost non-existent in a pregnancy. A woman's discontent during third trimester stems from her increasing estrogen levels and a progesterone level that had been at almost 500 times higher than normal, now coming down as the estrogen goes up. Estrogen has to increase to induce delivery. A delivery is basically a hormonally well-timed miscarriage. Postpartum depression is a total lack of progesterone, which is the feel-great hormone, made worse by high prolactin levels. Prolactin is a don't touch me, leave me alone, sex is horrible and disgusting hormone. Now, the reason why we chew our veggies really well is because our appendix does not work anymore. Somewhere back in time, we used to make cellulase, but humans for the last 4.5 million years have not made cellulase, the enzyme needed to break down vegetable cell walls so that the nutrients inside the cell can be extracted. Animals make cellulase, but humans don't. So much for the case for human being vegetarians. 2 years ago, we, meaning me, Wham Essentials, were the only ones to remember that cellulase is an important digestive enzyme, and we were the first firm to include it in a digestive enzyme blend. Other companies, whom we call the Wong Watchers, have since added cellulase to their digestive enzyme products. On the phytoestrogens being weaker and taking up the estrogen receptors and acting as estrogen blockers, that has been known to be total and complete bullshit since 1999. Part of the debunking was done by the world's leading pediatric allergist, my friend Dr. Doris Rapp. In the phytoestrogen and soy studies that she quotes in her books, primarily on their effect on the plummeting male fertility. One world-class nutritional supplement maker who's also a PhD pharmacologist and chemist told me that 99% of the stuff written about nutrition online is crap, and I fully agree. Now let me introduce you to a point that no vegan mentions: proteins. All nutrients are mirror images with a left levo and a right dextrose side. Humans use only the levo side of any supplement. Most veggie proteins are dextro. I addressed that issue in the podcast from November the 1st, 2008. And on that note, folks, I wish you all God's blessings. Be well, and I'll chat with you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining Dr. Wong this evening for today's edition of the Essentials of Life and Wellness. If you have any questions about today's show, or if you would like to ask Dr. Wong any other health-related question, you may send an email to radio@drwong.us. That's radio@drwong.us. Or telephone him at 940-325-2147. The products mentioned in today's show, as well as all of the other products Dr. Wong recommends, can be purchased online at docsprefer.com. That's www.docsprefer.com. Or you can speak with a customer service representative at 940-325-2147. Dr. Wong also has an extensive natural health website filled with articles written in Dr. Wong's own unique and easy-to-understand style that discuss natural remedies for some of today's most common and debilitating chronic conditions. You can find these articles at drwong.us. That's www.drwong.us. Until next time, we hope you have a safe and healthy week. Be well, and God bless.